lot of people are telling me that you're on the front lines, and I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? What the hell is going on here? But they call you you're always on the front lines.
Yeah,
What does that mean? What do you mean?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm usually streaming and usually at the, well, no, I'm usually floating back and forth along the march. I don't know if it's technically the front lines, but I think if something seems to be going down or something is about to happen, I have a tendency to run up to it. So yeah, that's why. This is basically if there's like a police action or any tension that's going on, I try to get there as quickly as possible to document what's going on.
Describe for me what you do.
Well, I basically stream video live onto the internet. So I have my own channel.
So you're out there in the protest with the camera?
Yeah, that's running through the protest, and it's it's just.
And it's streaming live. It goes right to like a website location. People can go ahead and they can just.
Yep.
Pop it up.
Yeah, and people go in there, they start talking. So sometimes like a few days ago, I was running through the streets with about 500 people in my little iPod.
Wow.
Talking to me about asking me questions, and I'm trying to.
Like live, like right then and there, they're asking you questions as they're watching the video happen.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
what are some of the questions that people ask?
Well,
like, some types.
Well, I mean, a lot of times they just want to know what's going on.
Right, of course.
They're jumping into a live feed, and there's kind of all of a sudden they're seeing this march in front of them, and there's police everywhere. And like, what's happening? So, a lot of times you're just basically explaining what you're seeing. You think about this live feed, there's all this people moving. Nobody knows what's going on. So you're just constantly talking for listen until you get really tired. But just kind of constantly explain what's going on, explain how many police are around, explain what the protesters are chanting, making sure that everyone understands what's happening. So it's like interacting with your audience constantly. And I think if there's a thing that would be a good streamer or whatever, it's basically somebody who knows to constantly be talking about what's happening, constantly talking to the chatters, and this you kind of make this little world, this interaction between the real world and the internet. You're like the conduit for it.
This sounds like something very difficult to do amidst a protest, especially one as the size that we've seen over the weekend. What are some of the challenges or some of the things that you got to be aware of when doing something like this? Because you're looking at a camera the whole time that you're...
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, I think, like for me personally, I came here very specifically to document, what the police are doing. Like there's going to be enough people, So I'm always watching the police. So you can become really aware of kind of like the norms of police and the movement of police. And you can kind of tell when they're going to do something stupid almost all the time. So that's what I'm doing is just kind of running through the streets, and I'm looking everywhere. I had a friend who was filming the other day. I was like, do I look crazy? Because I'm looking everywhere, and then I'm like talk to the camera for a little bit. I look everywhere, and I'll talk to the camera. And I'm just constantly looking around, and it's just just wanted to make sure there's nothing happening that I'm missing, and also that if I'm not going to be arrested for some weird reason, like I have to be aware of what's around me at all times. So it's like really, I don't know. It's really I don't know if it's high adrenaline, but it's you're I don't know. You're just in it, and you're just going, and. It's kind of wild, and if stuff happens where, the police start attacking people, the other day I know there was like 2 people being arrested really violently in front of me, and I just remember like trying to stay really calm and explaining what's going on regardless of like everything going around me. There was like a bike thrown over here and some guy being dragged across the ground, and I'm just kind of like, all right now this is what's going on. I was trying to stay really calm because I know that people need to know what's happening.
There was a bike thrown?
Yeah.
Somewhere? What happened? What?
I don't know. I was a little bit away, and I saw kind of a bunch of masses of police massing around some people, so I ran over there, and they're arresting 2 people, and then it looked like some of the protesters decided they wanted to try to de-arrest them, so they kind of reached for them, and then at that point they extended their batons and started to like beat them back, and then on my right somebody grabbed a bike and started dragging it away from the police. The police kind of grabbed it and threw it at them, and then they ran after them, and they tripped over the bike and fell on the ground. And so this is all going on around me, and I just remember I was somehow in a bubble, like I wasn't pushed around or touched that much, which I thought was weird. So I was like just trying to hold my, I have a little iPod, so everything it's really bad.
Right.
So I'm just like I was just remember trying to hold it really steady, and I was just like trying to explain what was happening all around me. And it was just all around me, all these things were going on. It was pretty wild. There was an officer who extended his baton and swung it at somebody so hard and just barely missed him and hit his own bike, and it just shattered.
Whoa.
Yeah, so I was like, wow, that was crazy. And then this other gentleman, after all this had kind of calmed down, there was a kid who was kind of walking kind of near the police, and the police just looked at him and just jabbed him in the stomach with the baton and pushed him over. I was like, oh, here we are. So.
Wow, that is amazing. And are you not scared for your own safety? At this time, like you're a cameraman, you're moving around, you're trying to talk to people while all this stuff's going on. I mean, like I don't know how much. What's left over so that you can actually pay attention to yourself getting hit. What's going through your mind? Are you not even thinking about something like this, your own safety, or what's happening?
Well, I don't know. I feel like I'm doing something that that maybe I'm good at. And I don't know. I've been arrested a few times doing this work, and it's just I don't know. It's just something. It's like I'm really aware of the risks. Like I got into this for a very specific reason, and before this, I did a lot. I was just an activist, organizing and marching, and I went through a lot of training. So it's like I'm really aware of the consequences of my own actions, and so I make sure that whatever situation I'm in is of my own choice. I make sure that I am the one who's making this choice to be here in this moment, and I think that helps me empower like what I'm doing. If that makes sense. And if of course you're scared and you get scared, I mean, I usually feel fear. I think fear for other people because I'm too stupid to be afraid. Because I'm just like trying to do what I'm doing, and I feel like if I'm concentrating on what I'm doing, I can stay calm. And so I don't think I think I was told once that someone was like, I've never seen you freak out, although I freaked out once. I've never, one time. It was
You're loud.
In New York City, I remember I freaked out once at the police. It's really bad.
What happened? What'd you do?
I was, it was December 6th, and there was a house foreclosure action where they were taking over a house. And in the march at one time, this gentleman was like, well, my house is being foreclosed out, and you should come help me. And so we ended up going to this other house, and, and there's all these people are sitting there, and the police showed up to get everyone out, and they started like corralling everybody out of it, and they went up to the front door and they kicked it open, but they didn't know there's somebody behind it, so they kicked this door into this guy's face, and they cut open the top of his eye right here, and he's just bleeding heavily, and they pulled him aside, and they're like, everyone has to leave, and this guy's, well, can I go? And they're like, no, you have to wait there a moment, and they're like, made him stand in this corner, and then a few minutes later they arrested him and charged him with resisting arrest. Right, and this is like super classic. Like it's very stereotypical. If they ever hurt you, if a police officer ever hurts you for whatever reason, you're gonna get charged with resisting arrest. It's just like you'll be sleeping and they'll be beating you with a club and they'll be saying stop resisting. It's just how it works. And so I just got really frustrated. And I was explaining to the officer. I was trying to really calm. I was like, you do this every time. You kick the door into someone's face and you hurt him. And now that you hurt him, you're going to be in trouble. So you're going to charge him with resistance. And I just freaked out. And I was like, and it's just F-bombs and BS's.
Well, I would assume that in a situation that you're in, with the high tension and all the adrenaline and everything going on at the same time, that you're probably allowed to freak out, a couple of times,
Well, I mean, you are, but I mean, I feel like I don't know. I try really hard not to freak out. I just try to stay calm. I do feel like I'm doing a job or doing work that's like valuable, and me staying calm makes it clear. Like I remember November 15th, we were evicted from I was in the Zuccotti Liberty Park in New York City, and I was there for like an hour and a half surrounded by police, and I just remember just really calmly explaining what was going on over and over again as all these police were circling in and like pulling my friends away from me and beating them up in front of me, and I was just like, and so if I was freaking out during it, I think it would have been almost a disservice. Maybe not. Maybe it was a disservice for me not to freak out. I don't even know, but I just feel like I have to at least try to explain what's going on in some sort of clear way.
Well, Lorenzo, it seems like you have a definite role. When you go out there and you do this and you stream online, for the people to see things like this protest. Can you describe to me that philosophy that you have, that when you go in there with your camera and you stream on live?
Well, I mean, like for me, I come out of the Chicano movement. I come forth from struggle, and I have all these ancestors who worked to put me or give me a space to be the person I am. Is how I view things. And in the Chicano movement, there was a lot of high school walkouts that happened. This was in the '60s, early '70s, and there's one in particular where I think it was Los Angeles, where the students walked out, and there was riot police showed up, and the teachers locked the doors of their classrooms, and anybody who left the classroom was locked out, and then the police beat these kids in the hallways, and nobody had footage of it. Like nobody saw it, and so it never happened, right? So it's like a story it's told in all these books, and these people testify to it happening, but since there was not a recording, it just never happened. It just never happened, and so that's the way I view it. Is that I know I have to make sure that these things are documented, or they go hidden, they get swept under the carpet, and it just never happened. So I feel like I can't allow that to happen.
That's amazing. Lorenzo, can you give me the name of that website?
Oh, mine. Oh, my Twitter handle is unedited camera, and it's ustream.tv/unedited camera.
And how often can we go on there? I mean, do you send a notice out to people, or how does that work?
I mean, basically, most people who stream have their channels are tied to their Twitter feeds, so when they go live, it sends a tweet out. So anybody who's following you knows you're live, and people come in to watch what you're doing, like what you're filming or what's happening. So, But I mean, I don't know. After the NATO, I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know if I'll be alive for a while or do anything with this. You know, I just kind of came here. But before this, you know, it was like every day I would be live for a few hours and somewhere in New York, some action that was happening. That's pretty much all I was doing forever.
Wow.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to say out there to the people? You know, to any people out there right now, any future documentarians who want to get into something like this, what are some tips? What are some need to know when you take on this type of journey?
I don't know. I mean, I think it's important that people should realize too that you know what they're documenting is you know, it's serious work, and that you're also putting people at risk. You know, like you know, mostly streamers. You know, we are sending this footage to a public access site, and if somebody, you know, it can go as far as like if somebody does something stupid and you catch it, the police can use it against them. But even, you know, like people who have jobs, but their bosses won't agree with them, you know, and you catch them on film and their bosses see them, they can lose their jobs. Like, these are real things. Like, we're in a, like, at least for me personally, I know whatever. I have a side. I don't care. Like, I'm here to document the police. I'm here to basically help social movements all over the place. I want social change. I feel this works towards that. It doesn't matter to me what anybody feels about that. You know, but, and I just think it's important that we have to realize that social movements, and documenting social movements, like, there are consequences for people. You know, there are very serious consequences, and it's as simple as people losing jobs. And you know, and if you want to say it's simple, but it's like, I think people have to be aware of that. Like, it's not a joke to be running through the streets and filming people just for your own personal, like, gain or your own personal pleasure. You know, like, there should be a reason why you're doing it. And I think that, you know, people who don't have a reason should really search that out. You know, like, I think it's important that people should know why they're there, know what brought them there, and know, you know, what they're doing. And I feel like I know why. I feel like at least I know why I go out there. So, if that makes sense.
We're here with Lorenzo Serna, frontliner, documentarian, representing New York, Chicano movement here in Chicago for the NATO summit protest of May 20th, 2012. Thank you, Lorenzo.
Yeah, no problem.